time for My Perspective Mondays. Hey, it is so good to be here. I mean, it's just great. Thank you for coming to My Perspective Mondays. Say hello to this wonderful cast.
Hello, cast.
Uh,
Hello. Good to see you all.
Hello,
we
everybody.
had a great weekend. We got 5 more days before Christmas. Oh my goodness. And you know what? We got an exciting show tonight. We're going to talk about what an 18-year-old should be legally allowed to do. At least we think that's what we're going to talk about.
That's a good one.
I hope we do. This is a good subject. All right. So anybody want to jump in on that? What do you think they should be allowed to do?
Oh
Do
boy.
you think they should be allowed to do things legally compared to what we make them do legally? Like I know Greg talked about earlier. Heck, we allow them to join the military and go overseas and get shot at and fight, but we allow them to vote, but they can't drink, whether that's because of health reasons, and they tell you because the body hasn't matured enough.
Fully matured.
They want to give me. They can smoke cigarettes. It's so weird what an 18
Yeah. Like what?
It's so weird what an 18-year-old can do and can't do.
That's true. I mean, I absolutely
What's-
agree with you on that.
What is the one? What is something that 18-year-olds? And I'm really asking. Besides not being allowed to drink, what are 18-year-olds prohibited from doing?
Renting a car?
Yeah.
I
Drinking?
don't know. I'm asking.
Well, I'm telling you, they can't rent a car. Do you have to be
25.
to rent a car?
You have to be 25 to rent a
25.
car.
No,
Yeah.
you don't have to be. You have to be what?
25.
I can't rent a car.
Or does that vary by state?
It does.
It does vary by state.
No.
It does vary by state, yeah, but for the
Some
most part,
states
it's around that 21 to 25 range.
Yeah.
You usually pay like a higher deposit or something
Yes.
weird if you're younger
Yeah.
than
There's
25.
underage fee, all that good stuff.
Well, I can understand that because that's the insurance companies driving that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're
but if
they're
you're-
higher risk drivers.
Yeah, but if you're using
Yeah.
your insurance, why do they care?
Well, right. Yeah. Well,
Well, there's
I
different
don't know.
reasons for that aspect, right? Considering I was coming from the enterprise rent-a-car business, right? Up in Jersey, you have to be 25 or older to rent a car, but if you're under that, you have to only could do it through really insurance purposes, and then you'd have to pay a higher deductible, deposits, underage fee, whole other stuff because you are a risk, right?
Right.
Under that age of 25, you're getting into a brand new car. You're gonna be speeding in my car.
It's so funny. You're always at a higher risk because you're younger. As you watch more and more people who are of the age do the same exact damn thing,
Oh yeah.
or
well,
worse.
that's driven by
Oh,
data
it's
data
true.
provided by the insurance companies, though. And I don't
Mhm.
pretend to know to be privy to that, but but I assume it's not an urban legend.
So the
Yeah,
insurance companies are telling me less 25-year-olds get in car crashes than 24-year-olds.
There could be a factor,
I
but
forget
there's
to-
probably many.
So when that
I'm no
birthday
expert.
hits,
What-
birthday hits, you just get so much more
Oh, I don't know.
Hey,
I mean, it's
A flip
I
changes.
think that,
You're
you
automatically
know-
a better driver at that portion at that time.
yeah. I mean, they deal in terms of probabilities, not certainties. There are plenty of 16-year-olds that are great drivers.
Yep.
Yeah.
My daughter, for example, has been driving for 14 years. She's 30 years old. She started driving when she was 16. She has never gotten a ticket. Has only had one fender bender. She got that about a month after she turned 16. Aside from that, she's a great driver. But I understand that she doesn't represent the exception. But like again, the stats just show us that if you're younger, below a certain age, you're a more at-risk driver in a lot of ways.
I was a better driver at 18, 19, and 20 when I was 21 because I didn't drink when I was 18, 19, and 20.
No well, but on the other hand, I don't know. Talking about drinking, I can't. Not that I would know, but it's hard to imagine anyone who took their first drink at age 21
Yeah.
No, yeah.
or even age 18.
Well, what
Yeah.
about the fact that we're telling you that you're an adult? We make you do adult things. We treat you like an adult. If you get in trouble, you're an adult, but you can't do all the adult things that adults are permitted to do. And if
Well-
you and the ones that you are permitted to do, we're going to charge you an exorbitant amount of money because you're an adult, but we still don't trust you as an adult.
Interesting.
Just because
I see what
adults
you're
can do
saying.
them doesn't mean that they're desirable things to do. You know, at any age, drinking alcohol, it's just not good for your brain. It doesn't mean that I won't like drink wine every now and then, but just knowing that just because it's an adult activity doesn't mean, oh, I can't wait to do it. We only want to do it because we've been restricted our whole lives from not being able to do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of my take on it.
That's also why a lot of these like college kids and young 18-year-olds, when they do get their first drink, they're just like, I'm gonna abuse the crap out of this and just drink
Yeah.
so much because
Feel
like
hard.
they kept saying no, 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 you have to wait, and then once they do, they're like, exactly,
I
down the
don't know,
hatch it goes.
I disagree somewhat
Takes
with that.
things.
Because I don't think they're taking that first drink when they're an 18 or 19-year-old college student. I think what you're talking about is they're away from home for the first time
Ah,
Yeah.
and they got that freedom.
definitely.
So that and they don't have that discipline that mom and dad may impose on them, so they abuse that.
Yeah, 'cause I've been drinking since I was a baby because I'm black. They like to put liquor in your bottle so you can go to sleep.
Get knocked out. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Like
So you didn't
even
give
our-
them no trouble.
Oh boy.
No, I'm just kidding. What is it? What was the liquor or whatever they put on a baby's gums when they were teething or whatever the thing is?
Exactly. Isn't that whiskey?
I don't know.
Oh, don't act like, oh, it's all of a sudden I'm making something up. Come on, what do you mean you don't know?
I
What
don't.
was that?
They would give them like a teething ring, you know. There
Oh,
was something that they did put up there, though. There is something.
you know what it is. Go ahead and say it. What is it?
I don't know.
They give a little ripple,
I'll tell you, I don't know.
a little bourbon. What?
No,
Yeah.
I don't know what it.
What's the movie Meet the Fockers? He said just a thimble.
Yeah, I know I'm not making this up, but now everybody acts like they don't know what they're talking about.
There is something, but I don't. I gave them a teething ring. I don't
What is
know.
something?
Rub
Or
them.
scotch at the age of 1.
What is something that you don't? And the reason why, one of the reasons why this question came up is I lost the city. There's a city in Arkansas where an 18-year-old got voted in as mayor, and it's created such a kerfuffle. Some people are like congratulating him and listen to his interviews and say, "Wow, this guy is ahead of his time and what he's thinking about." And then you have these people that are just totally angry, like it's the most absurd thing ever in this town of 2,000 people, that some 18-year-old can run the government from the mayorship position. And I'm like, some people are built different. Hey, there's a kid that I know, he's 7. And when you ask him, what do you want to be when you grow up? He says an accountant. I'm like, what? You're 7.
Wow.
Why would you want to be an accountant? Some people are built different.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
I
that's
think he
awesome.
should be the mayor. I mean, he should. I don't see anything wrong with it. Even though I
Well,
can.
you go back to no, we don't we never lived under royalty in this country, at least not officially. But a lot of ancient society, or not even ancient societies, not ancient history, were governed by child and young adult kings and queens.
Emperors.
Emperors, I mean, uh,
But
Joan
then
of
they
Arc.
have tutors.
Joan of
Then
Arc
they-
Joan of Arc was a teenager, right?
Then they have mentors and stuff to help them do that.
Of course, yes. Sometimes
Yeah,
regents, I believe they call it.
sometimes
But,
I can see this 18-year-old having all types of mentors and people wanting to help out as much as they can, right? It's
people wanting to be in their ear and take and
yeah, I mean, exactly. People will be there to try to steal credit from him regardless. And he's like, oh, he's just an 18-year-old kid. He didn't come up with this. I did. But then he's the one that came up with the plan, maybe. It's all about passion,
Yeah,
too,
but
right?
those
Yeah.
kings and queens, though, they're manipulated by other people as well, adults as well.
Yeah.
And you would think, but I mean, I think well, since it's Christmas time, it's kind of. But the good King Wenceslas was a real person in Bohemia in the 10th century, and was a child king. But by historical accounts, was a very good king. So,
How old was he as a child?
well, I don't know exactly. We're talking literally 1,000 years.
Yeah, it's true.
By the historical accounts, so
If you had to guess, though, what would you say?
probably a teenager.
Yeah,
I think one thing that's different nowadays in our culture is that people grow up so much slower. We say, that we send people to college to grow up. No, we don't. College impedes the maturation process. It doesn't accelerate it. They're adolescents for 4 more years or
Seriously.
5 more years.
Well,
So
wasn't Cleopatra like 18 when she became the
well, there are all
emperor?
sorts of examples,
Right.
of, because I mean, in those days, life expectancy wasn't that long. You couldn't wait for someone to turn 35, 40 years old. That was old in those days.
It's all
Wow.
shifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to do with like, you know, what are your qualifications for the job? Like, how much experience do you have? What's your knowledge? And, you know, obviously, the older you are, you're more likely to have better qualifications and a little bit more experience.
But I'm not sure what qualifications are for politics.
It's true.
Kiki Friedman once said that politics is the one job you
In
do,
good
where
sense.
the longer you do it, the worse you get at it.
Wow.
You know what's so funny? I'm looking at while you guys are doing that. I put because when we think of the leaders of, and I've seen this before, but I wanted to find where it was. When we look at the leaders of the American Revolution, we think of the popular names that pop up, right? But there were about 60 leaders in the American Revolution, and they have them in order by name. And the youngest leader was 9 years old, 12 years
Wow.
old, three 15-year-olds, two 16, two 18, four 20-year-olds, a bunch of 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And then you have to get down the list before you start getting into the 30s.
Wow.
A lot of those people were rebellious college students. You know, not literally in New Jersey,
Drives
New York,
change.
at Columbia and Princeton or Rutgers. You know, Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, people like that. They were rabble rousers on college campuses.
That hasn't changed, Matthew. Most of the biggest section of people that promote change are usually the youth.
That's true.
I don't know if that's because of the energy basis. Uh, when you get older, you get a lot more set. Some people just get to, I just want to do what I'm doing. And a lot of change comes from younger people.
Yeah.
What about the music realm? We're talking about politics. What about the music realm? What about, I mean, most rock stars, most pop stars, most hip hop stars, if they wait till they're 25, 30 years old,
Yeah.
uh,
Hey,
but
Hey.
The
you know,
appeal.
my
That's
favorite,
it.
you know, the Beatles, you know, and Mozart, uh, these were teenagers doing this stuff.
I know, they're teenagers doing it, but you got some popping older folks like Patti LaBelle. She's still popping, doing her
Yeah, I'm not
thing.
saying they're washed up. I'm just saying though, you don't have any people. They shouldn't have to wait till they're
he's
60
talking
years
about
old.
from the
You know,
start, especially.
Right.
Yeah,
I
but you
agree.
look at when you look at the people that you're talking about, Aretha Franklin and Patti LaBelle. When do all of these legends blow up? When they're younger.
yeah.
Well, that's sometimes.
No.
There are different cases where some have blown up.
Name me the 40-year-old. Name me the long list of 40.
It may not. It's not a
40-year-old.
long list.
That's what
It's
I'm
not
saying.
a long list.
It's an
The
outlier.
majority of them are in their youth.
Yeah.
Of course, they're
Yeah.
going to be younger, but you cannot let that be the measuring stick for blowing up. I mean, blow up when you can blow up.
No, well, it's not that the major. John Amici used to say this, and it's a very brilliant phrase. When you make a case, when you point out the outlier, you make a case for the majority. Okay, so if I'm setting out to do something and want to be successful, do I take the route where 80 to 90% of the people were successful doing it this way, or do I want to spend my energy doing it the way the 10% did it? Yeah, those 10% got in, but if I'm working on percentages, I might want to follow the path of the 90%.
I understand that too, but I'm one that's going to follow my own path. I don't dance to the tune of.
We're having two different arguments, though.
What do you think is the source for the uproar of these young people in power? Do you think it's jealousy? Do you think it's a little bit deeper than that? Why would somebody get angry that a young person's in power?
Yeah, I understand.
I
I
have
understand
no
the concern.
idea.
I do.
I understand.
What
the
do you think,
concern.
Mark?
You can tell about from people's comments if they have a genuine concern. But you got to remember this: a lot of people, they think about themselves. They're thinking about how they were at 18. Well, that person's not you. You know, I wouldn't put me in charge of anything at 18.
Oh no! What was that?
I wouldn't either.
What is that? Kurt Vonnegut said the most horrifying thing in the world is to wake up and realize that the people that you went to high school with are running the country now.
Mm.
You know what, Mark? That's always a good one because I believe you said this just like me. We get people our age that go, these darn kids, they're so this and no that. And I'm like, bro, I went to high school. You were an idiot.
Yeah.
Exactly. I get
You
you.
were respectful as for nothing. Like,
Well, I love the thing I see on social media sometimes where somebody says, and they repost this from somewhere else. It's one of those things that floats around, and it says, when I was a child, I was taught to open the door. I was taught to say sir and no sir. I was taught to respect my elders. I was taught. I remember you were an asshole. Okay, that's what you were like as a child. All right. So don't tell me that.
Yeah.
But somebody was telling him that when he was, that age.
No, well, my parents, not my parents necessarily, but my parents' generation, from the Great Depression, World War II, they thought baby boomers were running the country. Maybe they were right.
What do we say, Mark? It's every generation's job to say the next generation is ruining the country.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, and the reverse of that, the song by Mike and the Mechanics back in the '80s, The Living Years. Every generation blames the one before on all their frustrations. So.
Well, I always tell you I told Greg this morning. I had a 70-year-old college professor tell me, he said every time one of us dinosaurs die off, the world gets a little more tolerable. And what she was saying was, when you and dinosaurs not relative to him being 70, you can be 30 and 40 like this. When you get to a stage of your life where you don't want to evolve your thinking or evolve what you do, and you just say this is the way I am, you're in the way of progress.
I agree with that. I just feel like, this is very interesting because I feel like if you are mature enough to run a city or do whatever you do, then you should do that. But at the same time, most youth do need some kind of mentoring, and because we were mentored by somebody that maybe not hands-on, but we watched someone. So we had some type of mentorship by looking, watching, so I mean, if the young man can do the job, let him do it. But at the same time, I don't think there should be an age limit. Not should there be like a age limit on how young or how old that you do something. Just do it. What does Jordan say? Just do it. Just do it.
Did you just say, what did Jordan say? Just do it.
Well, somebody said it. Jordan. Just Nike.
Nike said, just do it.
Nike said, just do it. All right, just do the
I love you.
Do the thing. Do the thing.
We're going to talk about Nike today.
She's changing the slogan now. Hey, Nike's stock just dropped because Lisette said, Nike said, just do the dang thing.
Oh my goodness, Nike's going sideways.
I mean, let them do it. I mean, let them get out there and shake a tail feather. Let them do it. Whatever.
We always get on this topic of I'm 44, so I'm getting to that age where all the people my age are complaining about the youth, and it's just like I refuse to do it. I'm like, stop it already. Everything just started, right? Police brutality just started, carriage just started, sexism just started, racism just started, gun violence just started,
immaturity,
teen pregnancy just started. I'm like, all this shit's been happening, okay? But we do this. What do they call it, Mark? Nostalgic remembrance, or looking through our rose-colored lens about how much better it used to be. It's so much better when your father could come home when he was miserable and hate his job and stop by the bar on the way home and then slapped your mom when he came in. And you show respect to your father. Yeah, those were the days. Like, what the hell?
It's been around a long time. It ain't new. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think, and one thing the older generation criticizes the youth for is their addiction's too strong a word, but it fits in some cases. But their devotion to selfies and social media and things like that. And but I tell my students, don't let anybody badmouth you about that, because if we had that technology when I was that age, we would use it too.
Game over.
There was always you had a devotion to something. Everybody had a devotion to something. Look at how many people in the 70s, spent the first 4 years in their 20s chasing a band around the country, getting stoned all the time.
Yeah. Well, I think in my case it was just it wasn't even anything that profound. It was just 2 or 3 years of just being stupid.
Hold on, Jackson. You got to go to your audio settings and check on your echo cancellation. Yes. Because your
echo cancellation is on.
Yeah, they did an update, and it doesn't check it off automatically anymore. You have to go in there and check it.
Mine is on.
It's really annoying when somebody joins the live. Have you found it yet? There you go. All right, let's get Jackson in here.
Oh,
Was the thing.
Welcome.
Find it.
All right. Uh-oh.
I hear an echo.
Oh, my. Jay, turn the
double check the settings.
Have you found it?
No.
It's in your settings. The audio.
Say it again. Say it again. Let me hear you.
Audio, video.
What?
How many buttons are on that?
Be at the bottom. Yeah.
Hello?
Backgrounds.
This is great for live broadcast.
Echo.
You know what?
Oh shit.
Are you still in screen? What is going on?
I don't know. Jason's staring at us.
I'm not staring. I'm trying to read.
Okay.
It's not an essay.
You see, we were just talking about dinosaurs.
Oh my God.
Dinosaurs.
I'll be time for a Weenies market update.
Yeah. Let's go to weekly market update.
Come on, Winnie.
This would be great.
Hello. Welcome to Weenie's Weekly Market Update, where we talk about what happened in the stock market last week, and I forecast what might be happening in the stock market the next week and into the end of the year for this Weenie's Weekly Market Update. So let's get right into it. First up, last week we talked about some stocks that you could potentially buy that would have some relative strength, and a stock that would likely drop because it had a bit of relative weakness. And so first off, Caterpillar just kind of went sideways all last week. And Caterpillar went sideways because the overall market was actually dropping. So when a stock goes sideways, I know Mark's going to make fun of me when I say a stock is going to go sideways. If a stock goes sideways, but the overall market, NKT, goes down, that means that your stock that you selected was strong. It's called relative strength. It's a big thing in the overall markets. And as we get into the holiday season, hopefully you enjoy my festive green and red candlesticks with a nice white snowy background. But this is a daily chart of the overall SPY. That means each red and green candlestick that you see represents 1 day of price action. So again, back over here, this is the beginning of 2022. And right now, here we are in December. And so lately, the market had gotten a little bit overbought from the lows that were made in early October. And now, when a market gets a little bit overbought, it doesn't really, pull back enough without, we talked about our breathing patterns, breathe in, breathe out. The market is now breathing in, and we might get a Santa rally, though. Into the next week or so, we might get a small little bounce from the price that we're at right now. And that would be considered our little Santa rally. Everybody was talking about the Santa rally a little bit too early, and they kind of got it. But if you get it early, it kind of like throws things off course just a little bit. So the market expecting a small little bounce for the next few days, but then into 2023, we're likely to resume the downtrend and revisit new lows. The market might have another 10 to 20% left to drop. That's the most likely scenario at this point in time. Last week we talked about Snapchat. Likely to drop. Snapchat dropped. There it is. So Snapchat from last week dropping about 20%. There's different ways that you can profit from Snapchat dropping in the overall market. You have to ask me about that. The easiest way is to buy a put option. Just a fun little way of capitalizing off of the market. Also this week we have Nike earnings tomorrow. So we were talking about just do it. Just do it. Well, Nike needs to do it right now because it's at a pivotal spot, basically meaning it's either going to explode to the moon or it's going to dump greatly from this earnings report. I forecast that Nike's probably going to have decreased demand for its products. So look for headlines tomorrow after hours. So tomorrow at like 4 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. I bet you there's going to be some news saying Nike demand slumps. So the option chain expected move, there's the big crazy graph, basically is telling us what's expected that Nike is going to do. So Nike's expected to move higher or lower by $8.40. That means you could reasonably see Nike at about $111 a share, or you could see it probably down a little bit further down to this like $90 a share area. So 90 on the bottom side, 111 on the top side. Let's see what Nike stock does after earnings. And so just a short little Weenies Weekly market update. You know, market does tend to go on holiday when it's near the holidays, meaning markets don't tend to go too far up or too far down. So in terms of trading opportunities, you got to play the monthly moves, the multi-month moves, not these little short-term types of trades. And then also, I really wanted to remind you guys that this Thursday, you know, we were talking about mentors. I love my mentors. My mentors are Keone Productions. My mentors are Romulus and Brandon Carter. And this Thursday, it's completely free to sign up for. We're going to be doing a masterclass. I'm going to talk about some of my struggles as a trader and then kind of my progression over the last 6 years. There's going to be some, you know, things that you'll learn about the stock market, and you're just going to learn just what we do each and every day. And so that's completely free to join. If you do sign up, you get a free hedge fund quality Netflix report. Again, we talked about Netflix being a stock. Actually, I don't know if we talked about it here, but Netflix breaking down bearishness for Netflix stock. And that's already started. Every single put option spread that we've bought, $200 turns into $500. And that's really cool because all Netflix needs to do is go sideways or lower from here, and we'll make that maximum profit. So different ways to make money as the markets drop. And that's what we do. We make money when the markets go up, down, or even sideways. And you can see some examples of some trades just in like the past week or so. So super fun stuff. I'll get that link for you guys. Maybe Bryce can get it or something. But that's all I have in today's Weenies Weekly Market Update. I'm going to be gearing up for this masterclass. There's already a ton of people signed up, and I want you guys to join us. It's great for beginners too. It's actually designed for beginners. So that's all I have in today's Weenies Weekly Market Update. Let's get back to the show.
Hello, I have a question for Winnie. How does Sam Bankman-Fried affect the market?
Great question. So Sam,
Wait, what? What just happened?
what? Do you hear me?
Where the fuck did they come from?
Because
What?
I
That's
know
related.
that they caught him, you know, doing some stuff. So I want to know how did it affect the market.
Great
What
question.
did they
So
catch him doing?
basically, he destroyed FTX. You know, he was likely doing some shady stuff with people's money. He violated the terms and service. You know, that long thing that nobody reads. He violated that.
To talk about
And
violence.
so he's likely going to be going to jail for quite a bit of time. And it affects the markets. It's interesting because the market is made up of supply and demand, right? The market goes up when there's a lot of demand, and the market goes down when there's a lot of supply. The instant that news comes out, it's already affected the market. So it's already priced in. The market is efficient, as they say. And so there was a big, juicy, fat red candle on Bitcoin, meaning tons of supply came into Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is correlated to the US markets and global markets usually. And so when that happens, the US markets tank. It's just a sign of greater risks are happening. And so when there's greater risks going on, you know, shady crap is going on, people pull their money out, and that causes asset prices to drop.
Can you tell those who don't know who she's talking about, who I didn't know she knew Let me find out Lisette is a secret millionaire and she's doing all this trading behind the scenes and we're over here laughing at her. Who is she talking about for those who don't know who she's talking about?
Yeah, this is the CEO of FTX, a crypto exchange. It was endorsed by many big YouTubers. It was endorsed by Tom Brady, Kevin O'Leary, Graham Stefan, Meet Kevin, all these YouTubers and big public figures. And they were promised that the balance sheets, that their financials were really good, but they really weren't. They were taking investors' money and they are trading, putting crazy risky trades in it and losing a ton of money. And it did not go well. So it just shows that cryptocurrency is a highly speculative bubble, in my personal opinion. And even my mentor, Romulus, he was telling us to get out of crypto when Bitcoin was at 60,000. And so he saved me a ton of money. He saved my family a ton of money. We made a ton off of Bitcoin. Sell it, get out, because it was a very speculative bubble. When everybody's saying, "Hey, you in crypto, bro? Get on Bitcoin. Do this, do that," and it's gone straight up. That's when you know it's a great time to sell. That's when it'll go down in history as one of the biggest bubbles, in my opinion. Now, crypto has its time and place, and we'll get into that. But there's likely going to be a big crypto winter coming.
I'm suspicious of anything that it advertises itself through spam message after spam message on social media or email.
Oh, I agree.
That if
it was fishy from the beginning.
If they have to use that to recruit business, I don't even know what crypto is or Bitcoin is. I've heard of it, but I don't care to know what it is. If that's going to recruit customers, I'm suspicious from the get-go.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
And what's with the comment that Clarence made? What was that comment he made?
I don't want you to ask him. He's right there.
There it is.
Oh, Mark's on it today.
He is young and black. That matters to some, even though it should not. I heard him talk. He sounds more qualified than some others I've heard.
Well, it is in Arkansas.
These people come along. Are you talking about the mayor?
I think he's talking about the mayor.
Oh, I thought
That was an earlier
you were
one.
talking about the con man. I was thinking about the people like the Keating and the SNL scandals and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Mark and Lisette, I'm not picking on your age, but
like even Elon Musk is hustling.
old enough.
If
I
you
remember
will.
when I was younger,
Hustling
and I would
Twitter.
be with
Yeah.
my grandmother. You remember the people that would come into town and set up a little thing in the neighborhood and get all their friends over, and they'd be talking about this investment thing and how you could make so much money.
Yeah.
Yes,
It was your
Yeah,
Pyramid
10x your
schemes.
money.
yes.
Well, I remember the Amway way.
Yeah.
Shackley.
I remember that.
This has always been.
Pyramid.
Yeah.
I love how, like, in the old West or in the old days, how people would roll into town with their miracle water.
Medicine
That's
man.
true. They
Mark would
did.
come into town with me and it's like, Mark, be in the background and come up limping. Mark takes a drink of my water, his limp goes away, and now everybody's turning over their hard-earned money so that we get the hell out of town.
They done that too. They sure did. Yes, all types.
Traveling
of
medicine man, the old patent medicine drummer, as Huey Long called him.
Yes, soda water fixed a
Medicine
lot of
man.
people. All right, so let's just get Jay on here because I know he didn't join the show to be on his phone the whole time. Jay, we're talking about 18-year-olds and what they legally should be able to do. We haven't talked about what do you think that we should not allow 18-year-olds to do? I don't think. Look, you're talking to a guy who did 20 years in the Army, and I'm going to tell you, I did not like going overseas and knowing that I have an 18 and 19-year-old soldier that might not make it.
Right.
I don't want any age of any person to perish, but good Lord. I feel like if you can go and be deployed at 18, everything else you should be able to do and suffer the consequences like any other adult if it happens. I'm 44. If I rent a car and crash, I'm in trouble. Same thing with them. I know the risks, say, if they're younger, it's going to happen, but hell, you've labeled them an adult. They can go off to war. They
Right.
can smoke cigarettes. You can vote. But here's a couple other things that you can't do. And if you legally can do it, we're going to penalize you for it. We're
That's
going to
not fair.
penalize you for being an adult.
The list of things that you can't do is so much bigger than the list of things that you can do at the age of 18, but that's when they start labeling you as an adult. people would come at me sideways personally, talking about oh, you're doing this when you're a whole adult. I'm just like, the only thing I can do right now is pay taxes, really. I can't enlist in the military personally because I'm diabetic. That's a major medical illness.
Oh, see, that's different than your age.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, like, for a majority of people, yeah, they're just like, oh, you're 18, you're an adult. What do you want to do with the rest of your life? A majority of people at the age of 18 are in college. Let's just start with that. So what are you going to do with that aside from pursue higher education? But, like, there's a lot that you can't do, especially depending on the state. At 18, you can't rent a car.
Well, we talked
Well,
about
we
that.
had that discussion a while ago, but Jay, I asked that question because I didn't know. I said, what can't you do at 18 besides drink? And we got the car rental, but what else can't you do?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really asking. I don't know.
Well, Jay, you just said the list was long.
Right. I've met 16 and 17-year-olds that have lived on their own. So you can apply to, like, have a lease for a house at that age. That's on the list. Some things that you can't do. You can't have a firearm yet. That's another thing. That's
a good thing.
Right. That's a good thing. Some more things that you can't do. What else? You can get certain jobs, though there's certain things that you have to have an age requirement on as well as the certification. Oh, jeez. I said the list is long.
Going to a casino. You can't
Oh,
go
yeah,
there
that
and
one.
gamble.
Gamble.
Casinos.
What's a police officer? 21.
Yeah, you have to be 21 to be a police officer. When can you join the academy? Isn't it 20?
I don't know that. I'm sure that varies by state,
Right.
but I don't know what it is in this state.
It's just I'm looking at the things you're allowed to do, and the things you're allowed to do are way more dangerous than the things that you're not allowed to do. You're allowed to smoke and you're allowed to go to war.
So they don't care about them.
No, well, okay, we're not going to go that far.
Well, let me just throw this in, and I'm saying that with the drinking age and it being 18, when I was that age, it varied by state, and I lived in a state in Georgia where the drinking age was 18, but I spent some time in states where the drinking age was 21, and then the federal government more or less made all the states change it to 21.
Casinos and everything. Apparently, you can buy lottery tickets at the age of 18. I forgot about
Well,
that.
Yeah, but Mark, in a lot of southern states, a lot of people didn't start drinking at 21 and 18. My grand.
Oh, of course. Well, I remember
drinking moonshine in Mississippi.
Well, one summer I worked in Pennsylvania, and at that time the drinking age in Pennsylvania was 21. But right across the line in New York, which is only about 10 miles away at the time, the drinking age was 18. But the rationale was there were two rationales, and one is that you say, well, it's okay to smoke and go to war, but they wanted to keep, and not that old people don't drink too. I'm just saying this is part of the rationale. They wanted to keep young teenage drunk drivers off the road, and the other rationale was to keep alcohol out of high schools. Those are the rationales. Now, whether that was misguided or not, I don't know, but you decide for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you look over like overseas in that aspect, right? Europe, their drinking age is what, 16, 17, 18.
Oh, it's
depending on where
very
you go.
very loose, yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
okay.
very, very loose. So same kind of criteria, right? They're not bringing beer, wine, or they might be just not getting caught, but they're, for the most part, they're probably not bringing alcohol over to the schools, into everything that you just mentioned.
It's
They're
a different
They're
culture.
also not binge
I
drinking.
think I've read a little bit about this. Not a whole. I don't pretend to be an expert, but there are different cultural attitudes toward alcohol. And when I grew up, you drank to get drunk, and you get drunk to get rowdy. But
Now,
a
was
lot of
that
other
because
cultures,
that drinking age
you
wasn't
drink, you don't have that
until 21, though?
attitude. There's not that culture.
Now, but was that also not because the drinking age wasn't until 21? So
I don't think the drinking age was a factor here.
Oh
in
yeah,
this
you're
case.
gonna in a lot of those towns you're gonna drink if you drink. So I just so what happened in 2019 is 14. I think it says 14 states have moved their drinking age. Their smoking age to 21. You have to be 21 now in 14 states to buy, purchase, and smoke cigarettes. So as of 2019, 14 states have moved it from 18 to 21.
Is South Carolina one of those? I don't feel like it is.
No, but North Carolina is, I believe. I'll look, but I believe North Carolina is one of those states.
That's a shrinking industry in this country. Alcohol.
Yeah. Well, you know what's helped that too? The ability to do other things. the ability to smoke other things legally have led to because you know what? It's so funny. I'm not endorsing, of course, anyone to smoke, but I'd rather smoke that other thing than smoke cigarettes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
Well, I know a person who works in the tobacco industry. Her job is to
Wow.
she delivers tobacco products to convenience stores. Is her job, and she's constantly in fear, or if she knows that job is going to come to an end one day because that industry is just.
I don't think in her lifetime, though.
Well, she's
No, it's
in her
gonna
early
take a
40s.
long- It's going to take a long time before that.
Well, I'm not saying it'll be totally
out.
gone.
Oh no, but to Mark's point,
but like her company is not constantly, but often reducing their workforce.
to Mark's point, I mean, it's only been 5 years. Look how much smoking ads you don't see on TV anymore.
True.
You see the ones against them now. The Truth
Yeah.
Network. and
Yeah,
Against the vaping ones
do
usually
you
too.
remember the
Yeah.
last time you saw a Marlboro ad on TV?
Never.
TV advertising for cigarettes went away in the early 70s.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, but in the 80s and 90s, I still saw them. I
Not on
don't.
TV.
Yeah, I did. What do you mean?
No, it had to be somewhere else, John.
No, the Marlboro man. I saw him on TV all the time in my head.
You got your dates mixed up.
I'm only 44.
Why don't you do a little googling, find out.
Are you You're ridiculous.
No, okay. You look the last. Go ahead, you Google. I see you looking right now. The last TV ad was a Virginia Slims ad on the Tonight Show in the early 70s.
I did look it up, however, Keone. It is 18 in my state because I have a weird story off of that. How I found that out. They didn't ID me when I did.
Well,
it.
tell it
I
while Keone's
researched
googling.
myself.
Good.
While he's looking that up, I'll tell this story because I didn't buy cigarettes for myself. My neighbor was working on his car in the parking lot and was like, "Hey, can you go to the store and buy me some cigarettes real quick?" I was like, "I don't think I can do that legally." He was like, "Sure, you can." He gave me the money and I went to the store and I got it and everything. She didn't ID me or anything. I was like, "This was weird and it feels wrong. I don't like it."
Yeah.
Right.
I have a question for everybody in
Little kid.
in the panel. Is when did you feel like you were truly an adult, whatever that means to you? Is it like 16,
We're both
18,
right. We're
21?
both right, Mark. The last national broadcast cigarette ad ended in 1971, but cigarette ads were still played locally in some markets and made a return in some local markets, but all officially went away in all types of markets in 2013.
I didn't know. All
No,
right.
but you technically weren't wrong.
Yeah.
You technically weren't wrong.
That's interesting.
Well,
You were more right than me, even though I got a little right in there. You were more right than me because nationally. it was
Before we go
banned.
back to Weenie, Weenie has a question. Before he does, though, I'll say this though. I have to say that cigarette companies had some of the best ads on television. They had, if you go out on YouTube and look at some of the cigarette ads, John said the Marlboro Man, and come back to the cool taste and all that. They had some great ads. But
Yeah, they
Well, the best
portrayed it
thing-
as a cool character, right?
The
Yeah.
best thing wasn't
Yeah.
even just the
Yeah.
ad. Every movie and TV show, the cool guy had a cigarette.
Right.
Where he'd have the pack rolled up in his sleeve.
oh, best prop in the business. Going back to the 40s.
Yeah.
Weenie had a question. He's
Selling death.
Oh,
Wait,
I was just curious, like, at what age did you feel like, yes, I'm an adult? Like, if you were to, like, whatever your definition is of an adult, I should legally be considered an adult. Like, for me, it was like probably when I turned 21. That's when I was like out of college, doing adult-like things. I was having a job, paying bills. But of course, we all have different levels of maturity that fluctuates, goes
the
in
same,
and
the
out.
same thing for me, except I was 23 at the time. By the time I got my first real full-time job, an apartment of my own, paid my own bills and whatnot, that's when I felt like an adult.
Yeah,
Mine was-
exactly.
Mine was 30.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I had my own job, paid my own bills, but that's just stuff you have to do because you're
Mhm.
living on your own.
You have a different
Doing
definition.
adult
though.
responsible things, I was still doing irresponsible non-adult things at 24, 25, 26, getting speed, driving
too.
90 miles an hour in a 60 mile an hour zone. All these things. I sat there one day, I haven't got a speeding ticket in like 20 years. I'm like, how dumb was I to keep
Knock on wood.
paying for all of these speeding tickets? No, I don't drive like that anymore. I don't drive like an old
Well,
man. I don't
we don't-
drive 90 and a 60 anymore.
But we don't stop doing dumb things because
Mhm.
Keone and Matthew knew what I did Saturday night, and how stupid was that at my age?
Whoa,
First of all,
what was
you
that?
did a strip
Racing, what are you talking about?
do it, okay? You went in there. So Matthew, after you left, we did the little thing anyway. Mark, first of all, Mark goes in and everybody's hollering. I'm like, why are these people hollering? I look in there, Mark taking the jacket off with his little link.
There you go. I'd be over there whistling at him too.
I
Why
did
not?
I found my inner Elvis, I think it was.
Do I need to have the $1 bills ready?
Ah, what? He only takes Bitcoin.
Not the big.
Uh-oh.
He doesn't even know what that is.
So mine was
Here's
30.
my here's my Venmos.
I said mine
Yeah.
was 30 because when I
Here's
say
my
adult,
WhatsApp.
when I say adult, it means doing all the things that you're supposed to do, not just paying your bills and having a job, but responsibility. My responsibility outside of that was still lacking till about 30.
Well, you're going to evolve over time. I mean, what is Muhammad Ali is the one that said, if you are the same person at the age of 40 as you were at 20, you have wasted 20 years of your life.
Yes.
Interesting.
Or something
I
like
was about to say, can I even accurately answer this question? I'm only 20.
Yeah, you can actually. You've been on the earth.
You can just say yes or no. Maybe it's not yet.
Cause
You
like,
feel like an adult yet?
I'm gonna go
You
ahead.
didn't even hear mama.
I'm gonna go ahead and have to answer that. No, because that's for a completely different reason, Keone. Since you want to sit up here and be all up in my business, Mr. Smart Ass. I've had to be extremely mature since the age of 5 when I found out I was diabetic. My doctor told me this is not something you can play with. Your life is in your own hands every second of every waking moment of every day. But I've always had to have that weight on my shoulders, so I've carried myself differently than a lot of the kids around me. And a lot of adults notice that. They're just like, you act a lot differently. But, you know, you're still treated like a child, but you don't act like it. I've had a lot of people talk down to me because they expect me to act a certain way. And I've gotten mad over it. And just recently, when I was like 19 or 18, somebody did that exact same thing. But it's just like, I have the power to actually react and nobody can really stop me. So I snapped back at her and she got extremely upset. But my boss was like, hey, I understand you were upset. She's also upset, but you know, that's not the right thing to do. So it's just like, you know, you have the power, but you need to be responsible with it. She apologized to me. I apologized to her, but it was just like a waking moment of me having to have that realization with myself.
Wow.
Jay snapping back with an attitude, that's unheard of.
Wow.
It is so sad to see an 18-year-old young person sitting in jail because of drinking and driving, and now someone is dead from that. It's sad to see
That
anyone.
goes Yeah, that's sad at any age too.
But here's the problem with that.
Okay.
Not the problem. You're one decision away from being looked at differently. I'm not going to act like the greatest guy in the world, but Greg, you think I'm a pretty good guy, right?
I think you're a pretty good guy. Pretty good
I
mentor.
can remember in my 20s,
He didn't ask me.
and I think about it now, how many times I drove home. Well, you two, I don't give a shit about you two. I can remember how many times I drove home drunk from the club and woke up and didn't remember how I got home.
Oh,
Because
wow.
when you're 20, you're not thinking about it. You're like, oh, I got it. And then I'm
God's
sitting there
support.
and I thought about this like, you know, years ago in my 30s. I was like, all it would have took for me to take go a little bit to the left or a little bit on the right, I could have seriously killed or hurt
Person running
somebody.
across.
And now I'm a dirtbag. There's so many people that have driven home drunk and they're not considered a dirtbag because they just didn't hit anybody.
Right.
Wow.
I was just thinking that
Oh.
if you didn't remember how you got home from the club while drunk, you
There's-
wouldn't have remembered hitting somebody.
There's the
Well,
like
I
an
would have remembered when I woke up
ethical
in the jail.
an ethics that you learn. The result.
You know, this is
and
really
the
interesting
intention.
because I remember when I went to this, I had a shot at the doctor's office, and so they said, well, make sure you have someone to take you home. I said, yeah, they're on their way, they're on their way, and which they weren't. I actually tried to drive it myself. So here I am driving down the road, I'm saying, I was towed up with all that junk they gave me. I came in the house. I don't think I shut the door. I just bammed on the couch. I don't even know how I made it. Just think I could have killed someone. I mean, it's sad.
One of the greatest things to come along in a long time is Uber and Lyft.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I know some people get too drunk to even do that, but that has kept a lot of drunk drivers off the road, I believe.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
You gotta
that's
do the
absolutely.
thing. Hey,
I
when
do
we were, this is not funny, but it's funny. I remember being tipsy and driving, and you notice you start drifting to the left. You just put your blinker on like you did it on purpose. You know? But
Now, unfortunately, with me, it was trying to do this number here.
yeah,
I'm
now
trying
you're too concentrated.
Yeah,
Uh, Bryce says, I blacked out once in my life for probably 5 minutes. And that
When was
coincidentally
that?
is when Greg proposed to her.
Like, oh man, I gotta marry this guy.
She
Oh.
said, thankfully, I was walking on campus. Well, hey,
I was in college.
you know what? I'm not trying to say anything, but that's not that you're lucky. I mean,
No.
hopefully you're walking on campus. That's how a lot of bad
No, it
things
makes
happen on
you-
campus.
Right.
When there's a girl
Yeah.
walking and drunk by herself.
Really quickly though,
Oh,
Greg, I
Probably
got a
after the
question.
track party then.
Greg, I got a question. If
What's up?
Bryce
Oh no!
She was with me.
Oh,
There you go. So
Oh.
she don't have to worry about nothing. She's with Greg.
But no, this still doubles into the question. If Bryce were to get drunk, Greg, and look to you and tell you you're way hotter than my fiance, what would you feel?
I'd be like, let's not tell him. Come with me. What he doesn't know
You are-
doesn't hurt him.
You are not the average. Jay, you're right. You're not the average 20-year-old. I can tell you that.
We announced this
That was good.
on Greg's Trading
I
Place.
appreciate that, Mark.
We announced this on Greg's Trading Place this morning. I will be jumping out of a giant box at Bryce's bachelorette party. So I'm going to
Hey.
him.
Okay.
Yeah,
But now that Matthew's on here, she might trade me in.
She didn't see me Saturday night, so
Bryce,
Yeah.
I'll be there at the bachelorette party to help you wheel that cake out because Matthew weighs a lot.
You can't eat the cake.
I wouldn't eat the cake. in the first
I'll eat the
place.
cake. That's fine.
diabetic.
You said, "Oh, wow, Weenie, that's not what I was talking about."
Wow. Well, I was just inferring.
I know one thing, Weenie. When's
Do
that
you like
wedding?
cake,
Be
Jay?
invited. I better still be invited to that wedding, Weenie.
Hey, we have a cool wedding system coming out.
Weenie said, "On this week's weekly market update, what's going up? Jay's blood sugar."
Yeah.
Y'all crazy.
You can invest in these contracts.
Oh, there you go.
No, you know what it is, Jay? We miss you. You haven't been on in like a month and a half.
If I were on this show, I'd miss me too.
Oh my God!
Oh,
Never mind. I take it back,
Jay.
Mark. I take it back.
I got one for you. I got one. I have
Is
one.
that a result of your
You
hair
saw me in
moving
person.
around?
That doesn't count.
Okay.
Okay.
This actually happened
Uh-oh.
a day ago. Well, a day ago. I was in Atlanta, right? And I'm trying to tell you, my husband and I was getting ready to go to bed, mind our own business. We won't bother anyone. And I lay down in bed, and all of a sudden, something started itching. I said, "What? Come on now, come on." What's this
Uh-oh.
itching? And I looked up under this sheet, and there were some ants in the bed. I'm telling you, I didn't know what to do. I said, "Oh my God!" We hightailed it down there to the desk, and talked with the clerk down there at the hotel. And you know what?
Mhm.
We have ants in the bed. Well, we'll just put you in another room. I said, "But there's ants in there. Give us this night free."
This
We don't know
look.
what
This
to
does
do.
not this does not shock anyone. Okay, because I don't know who makes your dining and lodging arrangements, but whoever should be fired.
What
picked-
motel? Were you at the Econo Lounge?
No.
You
I'm
work.
very
You
prominent.
stay at the
I'm
worst
well known,
hotels
well known.
and eat the worst restaurants of anybody I know.
I said I got to tell you guys.
What hotel were you at?
I can't. I
What
can't.
do you mean? They're a
But they
sponsor
did
of
give
the
me a free
show.
night.
Did it have a number after 5 in it?
No,
Wait, Lisette, they're not a sponsor of the show. What hotel was it?
I can't. I
Hampton.
can't. I
So you
can't.
mean
I
to
promise.
tell me- Hold up a second. No, because Lisette, this falls under the exact same thing of like the whole I wouldn't let my friend do this or that. You mean to tell me you gonna withhold the information from us so we can go to
Right, so we could go get
Yeah,
in.
Atlanta's not too far away from us. We're gonna go visit one way or another. We
Hey,
don't want to stay there.
Bryce has a comment. She said, "I've never slept with ants before." I've never
Ooh.
slept with ants before, Bryce. I've slept
Surprise
with
time.
I've slept with a couple of uncles, but not any ants.
So I don't make the same
And you don't want to. I mean, because here we go, 3:00 in the morning, down the hall to another room, and I'm saying, like, we throwing stuff out, shaking stuff to make sure they don't come to the other room. And it's and then they didn't want to give me a free night. And I said,
you're
you know
ridiculous.
what?
That's
I'm
your
gonna write a letter.
No,
I'm
it's simple as this. Keone, if we ever have to have a group dinner or a group trip, he will not be the one to pick either the restaurant or
Thank
the lodge
you.
accommodations.
Thank
That's
you.
correct.
You are unlucky.
And Bryce is correct.
Yeah.
She's saying, tell me so I don't make the same mistake. So we're all going to go to Atlanta and stay at the Ant Hotel because Lisette doesn't want to tell us.
But I shouldn't tell you that. Should I tell you?
You're doing a disservice to our listeners.
What
Hotel.
if they want to sponsor us?
We didn't know what you could say. The Hilton. We don't know which Hilton you stayed
Okay,
at.
it was the Marriott. All right.
Not the Marriott.
Yeah, she was at. She
Or
was
a
at
Courtyard
the,
by Marriott, maybe?
she
Or
was at the-
MAR.
I ain't telling.
Sure.
You were at the extended.
Greg, going over
I don't
there.
know.
script
It wasn't
clock.
the extended stay.
where there's different
Like
levels
the
of
Crawford.
Marriott. So,
Yes.
But I was
Right
shocked.
here.
No,
I was
Mark is
shocked.
right. There are different levels.
like with the
of
Hilton.
Marriott.
Mm.
I agree.
Right.
Well, this was a great show today, guys. We don't have to do final thoughts, but this was a great show today.
It's always a great show.
I think Matthew was on here, wasn't he?
I'm always here. I just look pretty.
You didn't know.
But is it Christmas next Sunday? Is it next Sunday?
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know. Do you know what Kwanzaa is, Lisette?
No, I don't.
Oh, how wonderful.
I really don't.
You don't know what Kwanzaa is, huh?
No,
Oh, typical.
I do not.
You know what it is?
Why would I ask a question I don't know the answer? I'm so tired of you, Matthew. Just because you look like Jesus don't mean that you
Either Jesus or
He
Ted
just
Nugent. I'm not
does
sure
this
which
to
one.
get a reaction from people. I already warned Matthew. The next time he says something to me that I don't like, I'm gonna punch him in that pretty nose of his.
That's a long punch from all the way in South Carolina.
Don't worry, you can ask Keone. If I'm willing to drive 3.5 hours to attend an event, I'm willing to drive 3.5 hours to beat somebody up.
Bet. Greg, you're gonna have one heck of a wedding, my guy.
I'll beat you up the entire time we listen to